I'm living here, but I'm also a guest, and I think it's important to remember that and act just politely and respectfully to everyone who's been so kind enough to let us all in. And then in terms of just getting to know the area, something that I've really been working on is just having conversations about the history of St. Louis, because it is a very divided city in a lot of senses. And one thing I've noticed is a lot of the gated communities that I'm living in even, and thinking about, well, that does increase safety in some circumstances, but why do they exist in the first place? And what does that mean for the rest of the city? So just starting to have those conversations and doing your own research or talking to older students who may have answers, it's opened my eyes to the dynamics of the city and shown me the good and the bad and helped me just get a better understanding of where I'm living. And I think that's an important part of just being a part of the community.
I think certainly I'm familiar with the neighborhood that you live in, and you have a wonderful opportunity there to be an ambassador for the university and to also plug in where you can. So yeah. Also, Jaime, want to get your thoughts on opportunities in terms of instead of looking at them as challenges, as opportunities in St. Louis for moving forward.
Yeah, this is a huge question, and I thought about that a lot since I moved here. You know, I'll basically say the same thing I said for the other question, which is ask questions, and then also wrestle with the questions that are asked to you, right? I'll just briefly say this very quick story. When I got the day after I got married, so I had family and friends from out, you know, from Idaho and some other places, and like Idaho is not super diverse. If you Southern Idaho a little bit more, there's a lot more Hispanics and other groups. But with my own brother, I was having a conversation, and I had to ask questions to him, and he asked me questions that I had to wrestle with. You know, and it was an opportunity for me to kind of educate, if I could use that word, as to kind of a little bit of the history of St. Louis and a little bit of the history of racial tensions and the same questions that I've asked when I moved here, and then also provide a context. And those are kind of a hard, you know, conversations to have. But what I would say is don't avoid them, engage with them, and let those kind of questions really wrestle with those questions and let them kind of expand your imagination and your possibilities, and just deal with them as best as you can head on. Look for resources, as you know, as Katie was saying, it is a great example for a student, like the awareness and the ability to kind of wrestle with those realities.
Absolutely. Deb, I would be remiss if I wasn't able to get your thoughts on this point.
Well, I'm going to key off about what they both said. So Katie talked about doing your own research and finding ways to get engaged. And I think, you know, beyond the stuff that's going to be handed to you, you can read some books, right? This was my other low-hanging fruit way of getting to know a city. Whether you start a book club, which sounds maybe a little too nerdy, but I got to tell you, it's been fantastic to have a group of friends read a book, and, you know, half the time you end up talking about something else. But doing a St. Louis book club. So reading you know, fiction and nonfiction, starting with stuff that Dr. Purnell has written that has come out of the Brown School. I can't recommend that enough for grounding yourself in some of the not only cutting edge research, but also the realities on the ground here in St. Louis about disparities, whether it's health or segregation. Those reports are really important to read, and they're my kind of book because it's all infographics. But I would say reading books like Harriet Woods' autobiography. She was one of the first statewide elected officials, you know, 25 years ago in Missouri, or Walter Johnson's book that just came out. That's The Broken Heart of America, that tells the history of St. Louis and some of the historical wrongs. Or a fiction book. There was a book that just came out about, I don't know, I got it this summer, about U City in the Loop and music, Matea Moraes, I think, and it's There You Are. So fiction. So even finding ways to read about the place where you're living that kind of inspires you to learn more and learn some of the history, I think helps ground you in a place. And then keying off something that Jaime said earlier about the International Institute and the flavor there are opportunities to engage there. If you're concerned about the way the country is treating our most vulnerable, you can volunteer there. You can do things there. And there are some WashU students. Every Monday night, my son and I have been tutoring new Americans, folks of prospective new Americans, on citizenship, on learning how to basically pass the citizenship test. First of all, it's a lot harder than, reading the pledge is a lot harder than most people know. But they are learning the basic facts about this country, and then they have to pass the test so they can stay. And so there are WashU students who tutor in that program as well. And I would highly recommend looking into that if it's something you are interested in. Talk about civic engagement. You're helping a whole generation of people who have come to America with the promise of all the things, all the rights and obligations we expect. And you're helping them to secure their own future and their family's future. So that's like a really fun way to be exposed not only to the diversity that is St. Louis, but also help people who choose to build their lives here.
Absolutely. Some of the best experiences I've had in my life is being able to go to a naturalization ceremony. And just that feeling of celebration and accomplishment and responsibility is wonderful. So absolutely. Thank you. Thank you very much, Deb. Also and Michael, want to make sure that I didn't miss anything from you there on this point.
Yeah, I'll go very quickly. So it's not enough time to even address this topic head on. So I'll leave my email in the chat if we can go to emos and chop it up, talk more. But two things that you can do right now and then the latter. Right now, what you can do is you can support a minority-owned business. And so from my perspective, my research is Black male. So what I'm entrenched in right now are Black businesses, and due to COVID, nationwide, Black businesses have lost up to 45%. They think they expect those numbers to continue to rise, right? And so we got a lot of minority-owned businesses where who don't have access to bear bucks, and so you could get bear bucks at these minority-owned businesses and support them during this time of COVID. And then post-graduation, what you can do is to help us out as a region. You can stay in St. Louis. And so instead of going back home, right, I'm recruiting Katie right now. So you can stay in St. Louis and help our region out, and that will get us to where we need to be.
I think I second that emotion. Absolutely. Second that emotion on both. And as you think about minority businesses to support, also think about them along Del Mar. Mm-hmm. Del Mar is one of the most diverse business settings that in this area. And so you have an opportunity so close to the campus. So I hope that you will take that opportunity. Shifting a little bit to another topic about, it has to do with, certainly being here in St. Louis. In 2019, really just not even, almost a year ago this time, in his inaugural address, Chancellor Andrew Martin, Washington University Chancellor Andrew Martin stated that it's time to double down on our role and impact in St. Louis. And in your opinion, what do you believe is Washington University's role and responsibility in being not just in St. Louis, but for St. Louis? And I pose that question to Katie.
Oh gosh, okay. Well, first to start, I'm from right outside of Northwestern, so I kind of have experienced living in a college town, but not going to the college. So it's been a nice experience for me to then be in part of the college and not be a part of the town. I think what I'm learning about in a lot of my education psychology classes are just like how privileged a higher education is and how many resources the universities have, whether through donors or just their national recognition, everything like that. And so a university, the fact that it takes up so much land mass, so much resources of a city, has just I'm struggling with my words. It has a responsibility to give back and to be a part of its community. It's not just in St. Louis, it's a part of St. Louis, and it needs to recognize that. And I think WashU does a lot of great engagement opportunities, Gephardt, for example, all of the different clubs. But we need to really work on connecting to the community so that we're not just taking away resources, but giving them back and making it stronger so that we can support our residents and then they want to support us in return. And I don't know, I have to think about this a little more, but that's where I'm at right now.
Sure, sure. Want to also get Jaime's perspective on this.
Sure, I would say that probably I'm the less qualified on this question because I'm not very familiar with the university itself, but learning and about what it does, I'm just really impressed, and I'm curious, and I would like to even be more engaged and see how I learn more about what the university is doing in the community. However, I think that just this event itself, it says a lot about what the intention and the priorities that the university has. I would say certainly that it is ongoing for this university, and I assume for anyone, especially for the students, to think about who's not in the table, who's not joined yet, the university and the programs, and what are those people who in our communities that are underserved, and how are we reaching out to those? And I imagine the university has thought about that. And it's I guess a lot of the outreach that you do, but it's constant and it's rediscovering these new ways of doing that, and it just brings more life and creativity to the programs that universities or any institute would do. I think that that's a piece that is very important. As I said, I'm very curious to do that and to know more about how I can even be more engaged. Someone like me who's quote unquote an outsider, and how, through Colleen, like I'm already curious and I'm already, I want to be kind of a bridge builder, if you will, for these institutions like the university. I think that the beauty of it is that universities, they are very holistic, and they really should engage in different aspects of the human person, right? Not only intellectual curiosity, but like the different elements in our civic engagement. And I think the university, so far from what I've seen, it's intentional about that.
Absolutely. Deb, I appreciate, would you be able to add to this conversation?
Yeah, I mean, I think that as Jaime said, this panel, doing things like this panel to welcome people, welcome the stranger, being open to difference, and having WashU be known for its commitment to local students in the community, local food, using local resources, hiring people of color, owned businesses, minority-owned and women-owned business contracting is really important as you guys source all of your products. But to the extent that I know that there's some local things happening, I know that is very much an engagement process at the campus, because you guys are a big consumer of services, so it can really move the needle for some of these smaller shops, and that's a big deal. And thinking through enrichment opportunities in the community, Forward Through Ferguson is named that, from what I understand, because the only way forward is through. And I think that is true of Washington University. It's not just in St. Louis, it's of St. Louis, it's through St. Louis, it's finding ways to stay committed to doing that hard work. And the legacy is going to be, and you think about Dr. Danforth and his legacy and how much things changed in his lifetime. And it's going to be amazing to see what WashU is able to accomplish now in this lifetime, because people are starting to actually talk and focus on some of the wicked issues, as they say, and the intractable, what seemed like intractable issues. But WashU's training a whole generation of people who, whether it's doctors, lawyers, social workers, undergraduates, to be equipped to do a lot of that work in ways they never had before. So it's really encouraging to see these students are really aware, I think more so than any generation, of what confronts the world. It's not just a bubble. It can be a bubble if you keep it as a bubble, but I feel like there's more opportunities to get outside that bubble. And I will end by saying, there's a favorite quote I have by Harvey Milk, who was a big activist and the first really out gay man elected in San Francisco. And he said, if you want to come to the dance, you have to help set up the chairs. And he was particularly referring to political activism. He said, if you want to be a part of it, you have to kind of do all the grunt work. And so for WashU to encourage, through things like Gephardt, people to learn how to set up the chairs, that's advocacy at its best. It's because it's grassroots and it's people learning how to do the work they need to do to then come to the dance. So I think WashU is doing it, and I think Gephardt in particular.
Thank you. Want to make sure, Michael?
Oh, there's nothing more to add. Excellent job, panel.
Wonderful. We want to check to see if there are questions with that.
And this is a good time for any of our audience members that are with us. If you have any questions for our panelists, go ahead and submit them in the chat. And we'll give you a few seconds to do so. Looks like the chat's pretty quiet, so we may not have any questions today. So what we'll do now, if there aren't any questions from our audience, oh, looks like I see a hand raised. Let me go find out. See whose hand is raised. All right, Ryan Ellington has a question. And Ryan, I'm going to go ahead and unmute you.
Hey, sorry, I think the chat is disabled
Okay,
for participants.
good to know. Thank you. Did you have anything that you wanted to ask the panelists while we have you?
I'm thinking about it. One second.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I certainly, you know, I think that this discussion reinforces things that for me are so important. As I said, I've lived in St. Louis, came here when I was very young, and have left, come back as an adult on several different occasions, because St. Louis brings me back. There's a pull that allows me to come back. And every time I come back, I'm able to plug into both things that are familiar to me, which is comforting, but then new opportunities. So that's something that is always important to me. And I try to look at things as opportunities. Which is what we've heard from each of our panelists. I wonder if there are additional things that you think we haven't covered here that I'm asking the panelists.
Yes. I don't want to get into a fight with Mike, but deep dish is where it's at. And so save some of your bucks for pie.
Yeah, Blackthorn Pub too in South City is the best deep dish, and pie is more St. Louis, so we can both. I agree, Deb.
Okay.
I agree.
We can agree to agree.
I agree.
Good.
I love it. There's I'm just trying to make sure I'm getting to the question. Let's see here. Bear with. There's some good things here in the chat in terms of pizza places. So please be sure to get to that. I think Ryan also had a question with regards regarding how do you get involved from a volunteer standpoint in this virtual kind of setting that we're in now. And I'm gonna ask Deb to help us with that one, particularly with your knowledge base.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's hard and it's not the same. You're not gonna have the same level of warmth and communication and breaking bread that you get when true volunteer opportunities happen. There's all this synergy on the sides, right? But there are definitely opportunities to still give service to organizations, whether it's faith-based or community-based or political. United Way has a really good database of volunteer opportunities, and they've sorted them by virtual. So you can go to their website. I think it's, I forget what they call their volunteer database, but you could just Google it, and it's United Way of Greater St. Louis, and they have a log of different opportunities sorted by topic or age or something, and then there's some that are purely virtual. So you can still serve, but it's obviously, we're all looking forward to the time and place when we can do it in person.
Just to add to that, if you're looking for more time commitment, I guess, opportunities, I have gotten 2 internships in St. Louis virtually over the summer. Colleen, actually, who's in this chat, helped me get that first one at Touchy Topics Tuesday, and I just had my first day at Arch City Defenders, which is another legal organization in St. Louis. And so while we're all online, these issues in the world haven't stopped existing. If anything, they've gotten worse and more severe. So their opportunities will still be out there. They might be a little different on online, as Deb said. it's not as personal. It's a little hard to get as motivated when you're sitting in your room instead of actually in an office or in a school or where we're not. But they still exist. You just have to search a little harder. And I think Gephardt has a lot of really hidden opportunities that are great. As I said, I got my internship this summer through them. So just reaching out to people. And I know a lot of clubs are still working to transition to online stuff. Like, as I mentioned, the campus wide, but I'm sure there's a lot of other organizations too on campus. So just reach out. People want to talk to you. Students want to talk to you, I promise.
And always think about the Gephardt Institute as a wonderful source for all kinds of ways to engage, for sure. Mike, want to make sure, was there anything on your mind too in terms of engagement?
Engagement, definitely email. I'm on email now way more than I would like to be, but I would say steer clear of calling people, because a lot of us are remote and we don't have connections to our office phones in many ways. So email will likely work best in this climate.
Thank you. I just want to thank everyone for their comments and their insights, the little bits of nuggets and big advice and guidance that you're giving folks here on the line, our students. I think, you know, our students should just remember, students, staff, anyone new to St. Louis, just keep asking questions. Just keep showing up and being engaged, and people will welcome you. St. Louis is one of those places where I've always felt like, you know, people have just been open and, you know, if you just show up, I get, in my life in St. Louis, I have been voluntold more times than I can count, because once people get the opportunity to know that you are present and willing to work and willing to engage, then they take those opportunities and your life ends up growing from it. So I just want to turn it over to Genesis and make sure that that I haven't missed anything.
Let's see, fantastic job. And on behalf of the Gephardt Institute, we would like to thank our moderator and each of our panelists for being with us today. Thank you all, fantastic jobs. Your perspectives give us a lot to reflect on, and you shared a lot of engaging ways that we can all experience and get involved and engaged in St. Louis, and we are grateful and appreciative of the time that you've taken to spend with us today. For our audience members, we hope that you'll join us for our next session, and I'll share that with you now so you can see what we've got cooked up for you here. But our next section is going to be on October 8th, and it's going to be through the eyes of movement leaders. This session will take place from 4 to 5 p.m. And as you guys know, Gephardt aims to foster a vibrant culture of civic engagement. And we do this through a lot of different ways. We do this through our Engaged Democracy programs, our WashU Votes program, and then and a lot of civic engagement funds that we have a chance to offer students throughout the year. Most importantly, for students who are looking for ways to get connected, whether you have an idea, you're not sure, we really offer drop-in hours every Thursday from 3 to 5, and we would love to see you. And we hope that you'll stay engaged. And if you're looking for ways to connect with us, visit us online at our website. It's gephardt.wustl.edu. And you can always sign up for our newsletter there. We always have lots of informative ways that you can get involved. We keep you abreast of what's happening at the Gephardt, and so we would love to see you on our newsletter list. One of the things that we want to share before we let you all go today is that we have some door prizes to give away, and we have 3 lucky winners today. And please forgive me if I mispronounce the names, but our first winner is Miss Casalina Love Mosley, followed by Ray Phillips, and Jonathan Sheehan. So congratulations to each of you. You are our lucky door prize winner. And before you log off, you'll be invited to complete a survey. It only takes a few seconds to do, and it's going to help us better serve our campus community with the programming that we do here at the Gephardt. So please, please, please take a minute to share that survey. And we want to thank you all for attending, and it has been a delight. And again, thank you to our moderator and our panelists today, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks.